Welcome to London in the 1700s, a city of ambition, wealth, smoke, and chaos. A place where elegance stood beside poverty, where grand palaces overlooked crowded alleyways, and where the foundations of the modern world were quietly being built. By the middle of the 18th century, London had become the largest city in Europe. More than 500,000 people filled its streets, making it the beating heart of the British Empire. Ships arrived daily from across the globe carrying tea, silk, tobacco, sugar, and spices. Money flowed through the city faster than ever before, transforming London into a center of global trade and power. And today, thanks to advanced AI reconstruction technology, we can step back nearly 300 years and witness this extraordinary world once again. Using authentic 18th century engravings, paintings, and historical records, these scenes have been recreated to show how Georgian London likely appeared to those who lived there. The architecture, the atmosphere, the crowds, even the rhythm of the streets, brought back to life with remarkable detail. Our journey begins above the River Thames, looking toward the ancient city of London. Below us stretches a dense maze of rooftops, church spires, and narrow streets. The Thames itself is overflowing with activity. Hundreds of ships, barges, and rowing boats crowd the waterway, turning the river into the city's lifeline. Dominating the skyline is the magnificent dome of St. Paul's Cathedral, designed by the legendary architect Sir Christopher Wren. Completed in 1710, after the Great Fire of London destroyed much of the medieval city, St. Paul's became a symbol of London's rebirth and growing confidence. Nearby stands the monument to the Great Fire, a permanent reminder of the disaster that reshaped the capital forever. From tragedy emerged a new London, wider streets, stronger buildings, and ambitious new architecture that announced Britain's arrival as a world power. And then there is Old London Bridge, still lined with houses and shops as it had been for centuries. Crowded, noisy, and dangerous, it remained one of the city's most iconic landmarks before its eventual demolition decades later. Traveling eastward along the Thames, we arrive at the mighty Tower of London. For centuries, this fortress guarded the city and controlled access from the river. Its massive stone walls projected royal authority and fear. At the center rises the White Tower, built by William the Conqueror shortly after the Norman invasion of England. By the 1700s, the tower had served many purposes: royal palace, prison, treasury, armory, and even a mint for producing coins. Through the infamous Traitor's Gate, prisoners once entered by barge, never knowing if they would leave alive. Figures such as Anne Boleyn and Sir Thomas More passed through these waters before meeting their fate within the tower walls. But London was not only about power and punishment. It was also a city of beauty and refinement. From the hills of Greenwich Park, one of the most breathtaking views in England unfolded before visitors. Looking northwest across the Thames, the skyline of London appeared in the distance beneath clouds of smoke and mist. Below stood the elegant Queen's House and the grand buildings of Greenwich Hospital, created for retired sailors of the Royal Navy. Designed by Christopher Wren and Nicholas Hawksmoor, these magnificent structures celebrated Britain's growing dominance of the seas. This area would later become globally significant in 1884, when Greenwich was chosen as the location of the prime meridian, the point from which all world longitude would be measured. Back in central London, another transformation was taking place. Fashionable new districts emerged in the West End as the aristocracy moved into elegant residential squares. Leicester Square became one of the capital's most desirable addresses. Wealthy nobles, politicians, and artists lived among its grand townhouses. At its center stood an equestrian statue of King George I, while nearby lived some of Britain's greatest painters, including William Hogarth and Sir Joshua Reynolds. Yet London constantly evolved. Within decades, this aristocratic square would slowly transform into a center of entertainment and nightlife, the beginning of the Leicester Square we recognize today. Not far away stood St. James's Square, perhaps the most exclusive address in Georgian Britain. Dukes, earls, and powerful ministers competed for homes around this elegant garden. Carefully designed pathways, decorative obelisks, and ornamental lamps turned the square into a statement of wealth and prestige. Meanwhile, deeper inside the city, commerce ruled everything. Cheapside was one of London's busiest commercial streets. Merchants sold luxury goods from every corner of the empire, silks from Asia, spices from India, books, jewelry, and fine fabrics. The famous bells of St. Mary-le-Bow echoed above the crowds, defining the sound of the city itself. To be born within hearing distance of those bells meant you could call yourself a true Cockney Londoner. And at the center of London's financial world stood the Royal Exchange. This magnificent trading hub brought together merchants from across Europe and beyond. Deals were negotiated in multiple languages beneath its arcaded galleries. The sound of shouting traders, scratching quills, and ringing bells filled the courtyard every day. Insurance firms, bankers, and international traders all gathered here, helping transform London into the financial capital of the world. In many ways, this was the birthplace of modern global capitalism. Yet despite all its grandeur, 18th century London remained a city of contradiction. The streets were overcrowded and often filthy. Crime was widespread. Disease spread quickly through cramped neighborhoods. Wealth and poverty existed side by side. Elegant carriages rolled past beggars sleeping in dark alleyways. But it was precisely this chaotic energy that made London unique. This was a city rebuilding itself after disaster, a city expanding beyond anything Europe had seen before, a city laying the foundations for the modern age. And now, through the power of AI reconstruction, we are able to witness this lost world once more, not as distant history, but as a living city filled with movement, ambition, and life. London of the 1700s was more than just a place. It was the beginning of a new era, and its story still echoes through the streets of London today.